Hey everyone, this is Levi with YieldNodes Legal. Got Michael here on the call with me.
How's it going, guys?
And we're going to run through some blockchain transactions together. Let me share my screen. We'll get started. There we go. Michael, you want to tell us about the tool?
Yeah, so the extension is now officially on the Chrome Web Store here. So you're able to download it as an official extension for free. That means it's gone through the manual Google approval process as well, confirm there's nothing malicious in it, confirm that everything we're able to maintain anonymity. And at that point, or at this point, it's strictly an anonymous data collection tool that we're able to use to further research blockchain activity.
Cool. When you submit your data with this extension, just like you saw there in the video, it comes to us and we label it like this here. YNL U3 means YieldNodes Legal User 3, wallet number 1. This is a withdrawal wallet. So we know your deposit transactions and withdrawal transactions, and we can cross-reference that with what wallets you've reported to us. If we take one of these addresses and we hop over to a tracing tool like breadcrumbs, this is just a visual blockchain explorer. We can get some very useful info here. So you can see that there's a bunch of addresses that are unknown, but there's some that have been labeled, which help us understand these transactions. In this case, we see user 3 with their withdrawal wallet. They were paid out from a already labeled wallet here. This is YieldNodes July 8th, August 8th payment aggregator. So this is a wallet that I labeled previously because we've seen this wallet pay users on more than one occasion. So this is just a regular payment. This blue line represents a transaction. So if I open this up, here we can see that this was a payment on the 8th of July, and it paid this user about $4,000, which is 0.189 Bitcoin, and there's a transaction hash. So that's how the chart works. Michael, what's this YN 2022 deposit?
Yeah, so that's one of the earliest wallets that I was able to investigate. This is the deposit wallet that a confirmed YieldNodes user, used in order to enter the whole YieldNodes server rental agreement. This is how they sent their Bitcoin to YieldNodes, and this is the wallet that received that Bitcoin in YieldNodes custody.
Gotcha. So our extension only collects withdrawal wallets. How'd you get a deposit wallet?
So this is a manual submission that we were able to back up with screenshots of all the transactions and everything of that nature. And I was able to confirm that through both the blockchain and through screenshots both, that this is where this particular user deposited their YieldNodes in 2022 to enter the whole system.
Awesome. So everyone watching the video, if you haven't already, take screenshots of your YieldNodes account. And if you have transactions and wallets that you can show deposits into YieldNodes, you can provide those to us on Discord, ping Michael or myself for that. Okay, cool. So let's go back to the user 3 wallet here. We see also that this user used the same wallet to receive withdrawals from YieldNodes, but they also used it to deposit over here, because we see YieldNodes DW means deposit withdrawal, and this is just the beginning of the hash. We've already previously labeled this wallet because it's come up in both deposits and withdrawals. So let's take a look at this wallet. Whoops. Let me copy the address. I can launch a new report here.
Just to confirm that YieldNodes withdrawal deposit wallet is a wallet in YieldNodes' custody that they've used for both of those processes.
Yeah, thanks. Yep. So that's what we mean by the YN label here. If you see that, that means it's in their custody. So this is interesting. We see this deposit wallet, unlike the one that you traced over here, which had a lot of transactions coming in and out, user 3 deposited into YNDW, and this is the only transaction that has funded this deposit wallet. If we take a look at it, it was on April 6th, 2022, this year, and they put in quite a bit, 1.47 Bitcoin at the time, about $67,000. But there were no other deposits made to this deposit wallet. So that means when this user went to their YieldNodes dashboard and clicked, generate a deposit address, and YieldNodes gave them the address, YieldNodes did not ever give this address out to anyone else. That's a little bit unique for this deposit wallet. Some of the other ones we've seen have multiple transactions in and out. Then we see, what did YieldNodes do with this deposit? Well, there's a bunch of transactions going out. The first thought would be that, well, these are going out and doing masternoding, because that's what is done with deposits. But one questionable thing that we see here right away is that this wallet is definitely not a Masternode wallet, because this is just another person who was paid by that YieldNodes deposit wallet that you first traced. I'm going to pull that one up. So again, this was a wallet that you identified from a user providing you with their deposit information, and this was the location they deposited into YieldNodes. And if we pull up that wallet, with some slow internet here, there we go. What are we seeing? These are all labeled.
Yep. So on the left, we have every wallet that is funding that 2022 deposit. And on the right side, just every wallet that is being paid by that 2022 deposit wallet, which in and of itself, this isn't the point of this video. It is a little uncommon in the blockchain industry to see the same wallet used for both deposits and withdrawals, but that's really not of concern at this exact time.
Okay. So suffice to say then that we see the places this deposit went to, and here we see the same place going to this wallet over here. So let's take a look at some of these. And actually, we can look in detail on this wallet. Let's do that. So if I click on the actual deposit wallet for YieldNodes, this is the one that's in their custody. We see that it was created on the 6th. That's the day that this user number 3 deposited. It was used up until the 8th. So it was used for 2 days. It looks like it held 100% of the Bitcoin that was deposited by user 3. And then 2 days later on the 8th, it sent out 100% of the Bitcoin that the user 3 had deposited. We know April 8th is a deposit, a withdrawal payday. So YieldNodes pays out user withdrawals on the 8th. That makes me wonder if we expand this and let's show more addresses. By default, this tool shows the top, I believe it's 10 addresses, incoming and outgoing. I'm going to expand it out to 100. And let's see if we have any more labels in here. Okay, so some of the same places that the 2022 deposit wallet paid out, this wallet also pays out. Just looking for bold addresses, actually quite a few. There's a whole bunch of them here. But what I'm looking for is, did it pay out any other withdrawals? And okay, here we go. YieldNodes Legal user 8, withdrawal 1. So this is the 8th user that submitted data with the extension. This is their withdrawal wallet in YieldNodes, and it goes to Bitbox. And we can see here, indeed, this is a withdrawal on April 8th from the YieldNodes deposit wallet to this YieldNodes withdrawal. So to clarify, YieldNodes user 8 posted a withdrawal request. Must have been by March 15th because it was paid on April 8th. And the funds that paid this user's withdrawal request came from user number 3's deposit 2 days prior. So let me move that actually so that we can see this a little bit easier up here. This will make it a little bit more clear. Okay, there you go. User deposits $67,000 into a single use wallet created on the day for the deposit by YieldNodes, in custody of YieldNodes, to hold this value. They hold it for 2 days until the 8th, which is withdrawal day, and they pay user number 8 with it. This is not a masternode for sure. So this deposit didn't go directly to making a masternode as was advertised. This user here is not receiving funds from a masternode being shut down or being sold. This user's funds came 100% for sure from this user number 3's deposit. Without some other valid explanation for this, this is the definition of what a Ponzi is: a user's deposit being used to pay the profits and withdrawals of another user. So let's take a look at this address on Blockchair, because I don't want to graph more than 100 outputs here, but let's just look at what the total is and what this YieldNodes wallet did with the output. So again, here's the YieldNodes owned and YieldNodes controlled wallet, received 1.47 Bitcoin, sent out 1.47 Bitcoin, has none in it. Total recipients 556. So what you could do is download all these recipients, cross-check them with all the other YieldNodes Legal users, and see if any more of these are withdrawal requests. Lucky for you, we've done that.
That's exactly what we did.
Right. So here are the data. We've got the same wallet here from YieldNodes, the 556 outputs. All 556 outputs are listed here on the left. We can see that 556. And all we then have to do is look up these outputs and see if any of them match our YieldNodes Legal extension addresses and show the user label. So doing that, what do we find? We'll get rid of the blanks. And sure enough, 3 of these 556 outputs went to YieldNodes Legal users. Here's user number 8 that we saw in the graph. Here's 2 more that were buried in the other 556 that we hadn't yet expanded the graph to, but at least 3 of them. Now that implicates then for sure that many of these other addresses are highly likely to be YieldNodes users, because not every YieldNodes user has submitted a address to us. Only a couple hundred at this point have submitted addresses, 200 or 300, something like that. But there's over 50,000 YieldNodes users. So out of the 200 or 300 that gave us
5,000, I believe, is what I've heard. Roughly 5,000. If it's 50,000.
No, yeah, it's been definitely duly confirmed at this point, live many times by Steve, that it's 50,000.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, no, it's actually just over 50,000 is what we're told. Active YieldNodes investor accounts. So out of those 50,000, we only have a couple hundred, and 3 of them show up in this list of payouts using the other user's deposit. We can implicate some more by looking at what other addresses could be possible YieldNodes users. Well, any address that received payment from YieldNodes on the 8th might be a YieldNodes user. So that's what we've plotted over here, is taking the addresses that were paid out also on the 8th, like this one here was also paid out on the 8th and was not submitted to us in the extension, but we can ask ourselves, since you're paid out on the 8th in the same batch of transactions that other YieldNode users are, especially if you're paid out multiple times, like in this case, you're paid out 2 times on the 8th as our other addresses, you might be a YieldNodes user.
Right. Every wallet that has that paid by YieldNodes tag is a wallet that, in addition to being paid out here, potentially has been paid out by other confirmed YieldNodes withdrawal wallets.
Correct. And so if we then cross-section this user's deposit, which paid out 3 users, and say what other addresses also have payouts, this actually increases to 50. What are we at here? We are at 52. So there's 52 total addresses. So again, recap, a user, number 3, deposited $67,000 into YieldNodes. YieldNodes created a address to hold that deposit on the day that it was deposited and used it for no other deposits. 2 days later, they sent it to 556 addresses, 3 of which are absolutely user withdrawals, 52 of which are implicated as possible users, because those other 52 addresses also received other payouts from other YieldNodes wallets. So we haven't cross-sectioned all of the addresses yet. We have a lot more addresses to go through. We have a lot more YieldNodes deposit and withdrawal wallets to list, but that's at least what is implicated here. And it's why we need your data. Please submit more addresses so that we can unmask more transactions, and we can unmask more YieldNodes deposit and withdrawal addresses, and trace what was actually going on with the funds. You want to close this with anything, Michael?
Yeah, definitely. So just kind of trying to view things as unbiasedly as possible here. There's theoretically a possibility that this was some kind of accounting thing where, oh, well, we sent the 67,000, but that's because in our accounting, we kept track of a separate 67,000 that was then sent to masternoding. Well, in that case, I mean, we've confirmed with both legal and law enforcement that without proper licensing and permits here, at least when dealing with US customers, there's no real way to validly do that. I mean, I'm not going to for a moment accuse their entire operation of being structured this way without further evidence, or to accuse them of having this intention going into it. But granted, as a blockchain researcher, if I were to see a system exactly like this is the textbook definition of a Ponzi type system. And at the very least, it deserves an explanation, if nothing else here, regardless of any accusations we're not able to make at this time. But, and this is the opinion of the law enforcement and of the legal advisors we've run this by at this time. I'd also like to say, yeah, for example, you could theoretically get a system where you're sending from one user deposit to another withdrawal is very different from paying out using profits. And if nothing else, that would likely require some kind of money transfer license. It would require being some type of escrow business, where not every jurisdiction requires explicit licensing to do that, but it does require an explicit set of guidelines, which was never the intent of YieldNodes, never their stated purpose. Or it would require, if a $67,000 is not being mirrored and then used for the stated business practices, that would require a full-blown fractional reserve banking license. So no matter which way I try to look at this here, I can't really think of a way that does, if nothing else, doesn't cross the border over criminally misleading advertising or into the category of accounting crimes. But again, these are opinions at this point. These are based off of all of the further experts we've verified with. And at this point, the more data that we're able to get to confirm everything and show additional examples, the better, because this is certainly not the only example of this type of behavior that we found. It's just the easiest to demonstrate, and we're trying to keep this first video as concise as possible.
Yep. And I do want to mention real quick in closing as well. This is my WhatsApp message to Steve 3 days ago saying, hey, I posted, to our team that I believe I have proof of Ponzi, and I do. And I had asked them, can we have a quick call? Many people want to see the proof. It appears to be a Ponzi scheme proof, but I'd like to get your comments before I make anything public. We talked about many things off and on, trying to resolve community situation and pretty much that's it. But this topic didn't get responded to in either case. Steve did tell me more than once in relation to these kind of questions that he handled all funds appropriately. He did receive money, but he sent it back to URS as he was supposed to do, and that he had done nothing wrong there. I wanted clarification because, again, if you received the funds into that wallet that was just shown here, then this wallet is also the one that sent it here. So whoever received this deposit is the same controlling authority that had sent this transaction out. Because it's a single point of transfer here. There's not several points. So I wanted to get clarification. I was not able to get it after 3 days, and so here's the video. This is also my message to URS. 21 days running, no response. Also asking for clarification on the blockchain findings. We want to be as accurate as possible. We'd like to get private comment and correction to anything. So we're not going around anybody's back here. We're not just shooting from the hip and making wild accusations. We're simply showing a user put $67,000 into YieldNodes, and YieldNodes paid withdrawals with it. As Michael mentioned, it was the opinion of an attorney and a law enforcement official that I spoke with. It was their personal opinion that this is also evidence of criminal activity, regardless of the explanation of why this would be a mishandling of funds. Again, that's not gone to a judge or a jury. That was those individuals' personal opinion, being law enforcement and an attorney. So
right, and just us passing forward any observations at this time.
Correct. We're just showing you what we see at this point. Obviously, I submitted this to law enforcement immediately as soon as I found it in a full presentation, more detailed than this one, but we just wanted to share with you guys what we're seeing here. So again, head over to the Chrome web store, search for YieldNodes Legal, install the extension, and click the report button. Help us get more data so that we can bring more of this information to light. Thanks.